Most Americans believe that if you work full-time, play by the rules, and avoid obvious mistakes, third-world living conditions are something that only happens somewhere else. It's a comforting belief, one that makes the system feel predictable and fair. And it's also wrong. When people talk about the U.S. housing crisis, they usually imagine overpriced condos, bidding wars, and cities where even modest apartments feel permanently out of reach. What almost no one talks about is what exists beneath that surface. An entire layer of America made up of towns where houses sell for less than a used car, not because they're hidden gems, but because living there comes with trade-offs that don't fit the postcard version of the country people like to believe still exists. This isn't clickbait, and it isn't scraped from real estate ads or built around some influencer fantasy about off-grid freedom. These places exist right now, legally and quietly, often shrinking in plain sight with problems no travel vlog wants to explain once the camera is off and the comments are disabled. In the next few minutes, you'll hear about towns where the nearest hospital is an hour away on a good day, places where Dollar General doubles as grocery store, pharmacy, and community hub, and neighborhoods where the cost of a house is low enough to make you suspicious. And you'd be right to be. These are places where affordability doesn't feel like opportunity, but like a question mark. If this channel feels less like entertainment and more like an emergency kit for real life, or an escape hatch you hope you never need, you should probably subscribe. Not because everything here is a solution, but because knowing your options is better than pretending you don't have any when things change faster than expected. By the end of this video, you'll either rethink what the word livable really means, or you'll quietly start doing math you didn't expect to do today. Let's break it down. Cairo, Illinois is a river town with a population under 2,000 and a reputation heavier than its housing prices. Homes here have sold in the five-figure range, sometimes well under $20,000, largely because demand never recovered after decades of economic decline. The cost of living is low, property taxes are manageable by Illinois standards, and government assistance matters because steady private sector jobs are limited and stability is fragile. The catch shows up fast. Healthcare access is thin, job opportunities are scarce unless you're remote, and infrastructure problems aren't dramatic but persistent. Living here feels like waiting for help that might not be coming. Locals joke that the Mississippi River has more activity than downtown. Fog rolls off the water at dawn, streets sit empty, and buildings quietly remind you they once mattered. Gary, West Virginia pushes isolation even further. This former coal town has seen its population collapse, and housing prices reflect that reality, sometimes dipping below 20,000 simply because there aren't enough people left who want them. The cost of living is low, government benefits are common, and coal jobs never really came back, leaving behind routines without momentum. The downside is unavoidable. Jobs are rare, healthcare access is limited, and infrastructure shows its age. Safety concerns exist, mostly tied to poverty rather than crime waves, but they still shape daily life. Living here feels off the map, where days blend together and ambition has to be self-generated. Flint, Michigan follows, a city that needs no introduction but still deserves a more honest one. Certain neighborhoods report home prices in the low tens of thousands, living costs remain below the national average, and some tax relief programs exist. Jobs do exist, but consistency doesn't, and many residents piece together work just to stay afloat. History is the catch. Infrastructure trust is fragile, crime varies by area, and resilience isn't optional here. Winter streets feel quiet, old furnaces hum through the night, and nearly every conversation eventually circles back to water, whether you want it to or not. Needles, California sits on the edge of the Mojave Desert, where geography itself keeps prices low. Homes around $20,000 reflect extreme heat more than charm. Taxes are high statewide, But low property values soften the blow, while jobs stay limited to logistics and service work that rarely promise long-term security. Summer heat is relentless, healthcare access is thin, and living here feels like endurance training disguised as affordability. The air shimmers, the sky stretches endlessly, and trucks pass through without stopping, reminding you that most people are just trying to get somewhere else. Selma, Alabama carries a legacy heavier than its housing prices. Homes under 20,000 appear in struggling neighborhoods, the cost of living is low, and taxes favor homeowners. Jobs exist, but wages are modest, and public services play a major role in keeping daily life functioning. Infrastructure is underfunded, safety varies by area, and opportunity often requires leaving. Living here feels like being surrounded by history without much momentum, where progress moves slowly and the past never quite lets go. Youngstown, Ohio is a city learning how to be smaller. Cheap homes reflect long-term population loss and the retreat of manufacturing. Living costs are low, healthcare and education provide some stability, and crime remains concentrated rather than constant. Abandoned factories sit beside quiet streets, and everyone knows a building that used to mean something. Living here feels like potential trapped inside old steel frames, waiting for a reason to matter again. Detroit represents the extreme end of urban affordability. Some homes sell under $20,000, usually needing serious repair. Jobs exist, revitalization is real in places, but services vary block by block, and optimism requires effort. Living here feels like optimism mixed with vigilance. Wide streets stretch past empty lots, murals hint at renewal, and the city moves forward unevenly but deliberately, one block at a time. Calumet, Michigan adds isolation and winter to the equation. Low prices reflect harsh weather and distance from everything else. Jobs are limited and often seasonal. Healthcare requires planning, and peace can turn into isolation quickly. Snow blankets the streets, wood smoke hangs in the air, and winter isn't a season. It's a personality. Pine Ridge, South Dakota strips affordability of illusion entirely. Prices reflect systemic hardship more than opportunity. Government assistance dominates the economy, and jobs are scarce. Living here feels heavy, emotionally and practically, where humor doesn't land easily and isn't meant to. Finally, East St. Louis, Illinois, delivers the most unsettling version of cheap housing. Homes sell far under $20,000, but ownership comes bundled with limited jobs, safety concerns, and infrastructure that struggles daily. Living here feels more like surviving than settling. Empty streets, flickering lights, and distant sirens define the nights, and potential alone doesn't pay bills. These towns aren't mistakes, they're trade-offs. They prove that affordability still exists in America, but it comes bundled with reality, not fantasy. If this list unsettled you, good. That means you're thinking. Like the video, subscribe, and keep this channel in your back pocket as a quiet alternative, a backup plan, an exit you hope you never need, but are glad exists.